Hello people, what is up? I'm back with another video. I haven't made a video in a long time, and you're probably not familiar with my channel, but when I play Warframe, I'm a Voruna main, and I'm just here to tell you guys that this frame is very, very strong. I've made videos on her in the past, and my build since the past video has not changed, but I just want to say that this frame is still one of the best, if not the best, frames in the game for just destroying enemies and also not dying. With the introduction of Uriel and the fungi guy, I think a lot of attention has been drawn away from this character, but I believe this character to be as good, if not better, than those characters, and I'm going to get into why in this video. Before that though, I'm going to get into the fashion just so that it's out the way. I don't think you guys really care, but this is what it is. Void shell skin, attachments, and the Sayandana. But anyway, nobody cares about that stuff. Let's get into the actual build and what's going on. So, as I was saying, I believe Voruna to be one of, if not the best characters in the game. That's not just because I really like her. She is my favorite frame. That's not influencing my opinion though, because I probably wouldn't like the character as much if they also weren't really strong. And a lot of that power has to do also with Kubros and Predicites being ridiculously strong, but she has a unique synergy with them that I love that makes the whole thing, like, it makes dogs better and Voruna better, and it's awesome. So I'm going to get into the mods of all of that stuff. I'm going to get into the Arcanes. Let's go. So we have Mecha Empowered on here. The Mecha set is so good. Since Kubros and Predicites got their rework, like however many years ago that was at this point, they are really good, and that makes this set that much better because it involves them. So what the aura itself does is it'll make it so that when the enemy is marked by the mecha set, they take 150% extra damage as a roar style damage buff again, or from everybody on your team. So that's the dogs, that's your teammates, that's you, everybody. And what the mark is a Kubro, like it's like the Kubro's icon, like what's on the top of this mod, but it'll be in teal above a random enemy's head. And because this is a 4 set, I have the 4 set of it. That will be applied every 15 seconds, and it'll be on the enemy for 12 seconds or until they die. What the set itself does, though, and what why we're using it, is when that person with the mark dies, they spread the statuses that they had to all enemies within 30 meters. This is really good on Voruna because of Voruna's 2. This is what the build kind of focuses around, this and the Predicite that I'll be using and showing. Because this ability applies 5 random status effects, each with 10 stacks. So if you 2 an enemy as Voruna, and let's say it applies heat as one of the statuses, it would apply 10 heat status effects. Then if that person was to die, those 10 heat stacks would spread to all enemies within its radius, which is very big, and I'll get into that. And if it was to spread onto a person with this mark, and then that person dies, they'll spread their 10 heat status effects twice, because they also had this mark which spreads it. So if you 2 something and they die, and it spreads 10 heat stacks, everybody gets 10 heat, this marked person included. The marked person dies, it spreads the 10 from the mod, from the set, and then the enemies that already had 10, so now they have 20, right? And it can just duplicate because of mods on the Kubra that I'll get into, and it's an absolutely stupid synergy. It might not sound super good, but when I show it in practice and when I show the other mods that are affecting it, you'll understand why. So that's the mecha set and the aura. I have Vigilante Pursuit on here because I was not able to fit enemy radar on my Predicite because I'm doing a damage build and I didn't have room for utility stuff. This can really be whatever you want, but I like having the enemy radar because I can just see where people are, and I like seeing red on my minimap. And I also like when I can run around the map and enemies don't despawn. I have Precision Intensify because I'm subsuming Roar over the ult. The ult is just bad in general. I don't recommend using it. It's kind of cool, like roleplay wise, I guess. But the 2 is so freaking good that you'll never really want to use the 4, even with the augment. I don't see why you would ever use it. And also, for a Voruna damage build, she's so status effect reliant that why would you not use Roar? And it doesn't make sense to replace anything else because her 4 would want energy from the 3, and you would still probably want to use your 2, and the 1 is giving it buffs. So, yeah, just subsume off the 4. I have Augur Reach because we want a lot of range. It's a range, strength, and duration build, but especially range, because our 2 does not care about line of sight and it goes through walls. And this says only 16 meters, but it's bigger with the augment. We go into blind rage because efficiency doesn't matter, because our 3 is giving us infinite health orbs whenever we melee, which I'm using a slam build, so everything gets one shot. And then we have the Equilibrium Archon shard here, so that health gives us energy, and that's more than enough. I have overextended because we want range, and the minus strength doesn't matter because it gets offset by augmented, which this could be the new arcane, and it could probably be better. One of the new ones. I don't remember what it's called, but there's other ones that give power strength, and it could be any number of those, and there's probably a better one, but that's what I have. I have Archon Continuity. This is so that if my ability inflicts Toxin, it'll also inflict Corrosive on top of that. While this doesn't really do a ton on its own, it means that any condition overload from the Predacite or from our melee weapon will just have one more status to proc with. So that makes it really good, and we'd want continuity anyway, so there you go. This right here is the Prey of Dinar augment. This is what makes the 2 so strong. This is an augment for the 1, but it directly interacts with her 2, the Fangs of Raksh. And what this does is the enemy becomes 50% more vulnerable to damage, so that with this means they take a lot more damage. And when the enemy gets hit by Fangs of Raksh, the spread radius of those status effects gets increased by 150%. So this basically 16 meters gets increased to over 30 meters, and that is through walls. So yeah, very, very big AoE that is spreading, because of this, a poop ton of status effects. Then we have Mecha Pulse. This is an awesome mod for this build in particular because there's a lot of synergy going on here. So we don't really care about armor, which is the draw of the mod, of course, because we're going to be invisible most of the time with our 1, and therefore not getting hit to need armor. But this set is only really good if you have at least 3 mods in it, because otherwise the cooldown is what changes. So the how often an enemy can get marked decreases the less you have of the set. So you want to at least have 3, because if I take this mod off, you can see that it now only applies every 30 seconds. So just by putting this last part of the set on, we get 15, the mod will proc 15 seconds faster, so half the time, which is really good. And I use the armor from this mod with Arcane Battery. This is a way of me not having to go Arcane Energize, or not having to go Primed Flow, or anything else for energy, because I can just go Arcane Battery. Now I do have an Archon shard on for energy max to get me started, but once this procs, this becomes very, very good, because every enemy within 60 or every enemy within 30 meters of you will give you 60% armor for 20 seconds when you kill a marked enemy. And because you can mark an enemy every 15 seconds, that means that this will always be active to some capacity. It's a 20-second buff that's refreshed every 15 seconds. And it goes within 30 meters. So if you kill a marked enemy and there's like 100 enemies in front of you, which obviously wouldn't happen, but you get what I mean, this would cap out and you'd have a poop ton of armor. And this would give you, up to 1,000 energy. because per armor point you get more energy. Voruna's base armor is pretty standard, and this pushes it up to a very, very high number in like an average case, right? It's not even like it has to be like the most optimal scenario. You'll oftentimes be able to get over 1,000 energy because of your base energy. So pretty much infinite energy with this and your 3, and it means that you won't even have to be running around meleeing to get these health orbs to still sustain your energy, which is nice. And then I finished off with stretch because obviously we want range. Now, with that out of the way, let me get into what is probably the best companion for that build, and that is a Pharaoh Predacite. The reason that the Pharaoh Predacite is so good is its claws have a huge amount of status on them, and it is a Kubro. It works with Kubro mods. So we have Resourceful Retriever on here for double loot. We have Duplex Bond. Duplex Bond makes it so that I will get clones of this little guy every 100 energy I spend. We're playing Voruna, that's a caster frame. We're spending 100 energy very, very often because our 2 costs 75. So we use our 2 twice and that's already spawning a minion, or like we use our 1 and our 2 and that's already spawning a minion, or like a clone, you know? So we can get a lot of clones. We can get the max of 3 clones. These guys can also drop energy orbs when they get kills, and they get kills a lot. This Contagious Bond is another thing that I was talking about that makes the mecha set extremely stupid, because basically when this guy or its clones kill something that has a status effect on it, 50% of the statuses that they had get spread to other enemies within 9 meters, up to a maximum of 100 stacks it can spread at one time. So when you factor in that Voruna's 2 is applying 10, let's say heat procs, then this can make that spread 20, and then the dog can spread 50% of that and spread 10 again, and then every enemy that dies from that spread counts as the dog getting the kill, so it spreads this again and again and again and again until there's nothing left on the screen. Yeah, hundreds of heat procs, literally damage cap numbers of heat procs, especially when you factor in like that Voruna can put viral, corrosive, you know, all these things to amp your damage on top of that, and there's roar. Uriel who? Like, Uriel ult who, bro? This is better than Uriel ult. Doesn't have a build-up mechanic. You can use it literally every second. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's amazing. This is part of what makes it so dumb. Then, with Voruna also being a caster frame, she likes to melee, and she likes to use heavy attacks because she likes to slam, because melee attacks will take you out of invis. So it's best to get the most out of a single hit as you can so you can get right back into invis. So we use heavy attack slam weapons like the Sancti Magistar. Tandem Bond makes it so that my companion hits gives us combo multiplier, so I don't need to go around run around like meleeing or light slamming to build up my combo. I can just get it from my dogs. I have enhanced vitality to help these guys stay alive longer, and I'm not building health of my own, so Link isn't good. Hunter Command. Hunter Command is pretty good for the Hunter set, and also the set bonus is not that bad either. This is nice because if I apply slash to an enemy, the companion will attack them for a second. It does not sound very long, but Voruna's 2 does slash damage. So every time I 2 something, it'll tell my dog to go over and attack that guy. So what happens is, he can get straight to the enemy, attack it, and instantly kill it to spread those statuses. I don't need to like 2 them and then kill them myself, because I want my dog to kill them to proc all these synergies. So I can just 2, and then this commands the dog to kill it, to attack it. And then also it gets 100% damage on that enemy because my 2 applied slash. I have Mecha Recharge. This is just to basically fill out the mecha set, but it also gives, you know, some shield regen. I have Anabolic Pollination. This is mainly for its passive effect, or for the damage buff effect. It releases a cloud of spores that persist for 10 seconds, which increases toxin damage by 100% for 15 seconds. This obviously is just good because it adds toxin to the companion. so then it's doing even more stuff. We have Momentous Bond. This makes the synergy even more ridiculous because if I kill an Eximus, which I'm doing all the time, my companion gets 30 seconds of 120% bonus random elemental damage. So I'm doing elements all over the place. It's a super, like, elements everywhere. And also, killing those Eximus will revive my dog slowly, like it'll restore some of the recovery time. And then we have Fetch, obviously, to pick up loot. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going to go over my dog's claws, but first I'm going to go over my primary, and that's because I'm using Mecha Overdrive. That is a stat stick. So basically, with the Mecha Overdrive mod, I'll just talk about it now. With the Mecha Overdrive mod, 60% of my primary weapon status chance is added to my companion's weapon. So that's why this weapon build is going to seem really weird, but it's actually really good. You can do this with other weapons, and the Paris Prime Incarnate is actually better because it has a higher status chance, but basically find a weapon with the highest status chance that you have with mods. And also you can use a Riven like this. All you care about is status chance on this stat stick weapon. So I have a Riven with status chance, 60-60, 60-60, 60-60, 60-60, and then Shotgun Savvy for 90%. It's more than the Arbitration one. Hunter Track for the Hunter set, and Hunter Munitions for the Hunter set, because there's not any more status chance I can get. So there it is. And then I just have Dexterity for my melee slams. Doesn't really matter though. Then with that out of the way, we can get into the claws and why they have 413% status chance. Yeah, so every time my dog hits something, it is heat and slash, and as you can see here, the heat is 110% chance. So the dog can inflict an absolute crap ton of heat and slash procs, especially heat procs, with it being the weighting. And that's not even counting the fact that there's clones. So now we're getting heat from the dog getting the kill, from Voruna proccing the heat in the first place, from the mecha set spreading it, from Varuna's 2 spreading it, and from the dog's mod, Contagious Bond spreading it. So heat all over the place. And that's with Burning Claws giving heat and status chance plus converting elemental damage to heat. We have Precision Conditioning so that my companion gets melee damage and slash damage. And this is not a status, so it keeps it, obviously. I have Mecha Overdrive, as I stated. This is for the status chance, as well as the status duration, which goes with Frenzied Posture. The companion prefers to change its target after each attack. This is really good because all that the companion has to do is attack one time, and the statuses will do the rest of the work. So there's no reason having it like be persistent posture where it kills them until they die, or hits them until they die, because the statuses will do that for you. And you get status duration this way, so 90 plus 80%, 160% status duration is just really good. I'm bad at math, it's 170%, but yeah, you get the picture. It's a lot of extra status duration. Then we have Maul for the melee damage, of course. I have Cold a Weak. This is my melee damage for the Condition Overload that I was talking about before. And my crit chance is only 8.4%, so they're barely ever going to crit, and then it does an extra 240% on top of that. So on top of this, an extra 240%. Then I have Immunity Resistance, so the statuses on top of this do 50% more damage. I have Hunter Synergy for the Hunter set, so 100% damage when they're with slash. And then Venom Teeth, this gives status chance and Toxin, which that Toxin gets converted into heat. This can also be like the Frost Jaw or Magnetic, well no, not Magnetic Claws, but yeah, it can be the Frost Jaw or anything that would also be a 60-60 for status chance. With that out of the way, this is the Magistar build. So I have a Riven here for crit chance, cold initial combo, minus damage to Grenier, which sucks, but it is what it is. Have Condition Overload, Organ Shatter, Galvanized Reflex, Seismic Wave, Killing Blow, Gladiator Might, Galvanized Steel. This is pretty self-explanatory. You just want a lot of crit chance, crit damage, and slam attack damage with heavy attack because we're heavy attack slamming. So jump up, middle mouse, or whatever your heavy attack melee button is, and then do a big slam. They're still good even after the range nerf with this setup. And then I have melee exposure for corrosive damage on those melee attacks after casting abilities, which I'm doing all the time. And I should also point out that I have Zeneric with the little bit of power strength buff, but I don't use it very often, and I don't really need to. Now, I'll show off the build a little bit, and then do some steel. Alright guys, here we are at the Simulacrum. I realized I didn't show off my Archon charts, so I'm going to show them now. The only ones that you really need are this one, and probably this one just to get started. I'll mention I do have a primary status chance Archon chart here, and that's to get my Kuvacomb to a high enough status chance to get these claws to over 400%, because that's a very nice threshold to hit. Any percent over 400% means that chance goes towards proccing a 5th status. So if I have 413%, there's a 13% chance that I can proc 5 of, a status on a hit instead of just 4. So I wanted to get above 400 because I was really close. And this does more for me than strength because so much of my damage is coming from the dog. And I would even go another 1 or another 3 if it meant, getting above another threshold that was meaningful. So keep that in mind. Casting speed is just kind of quality of life. That could honestly be other things, but I like being able to go invis really quick because of a little synergy with melees. So I'll just talk about this and then get into the actual showcase, and I'll do more than just Simulacrum obviously, and trust me, this build's better outside of Simulacrum. It's better in real missions. But the synergy I'm talking about is when you slam, there's this animation obviously, and I can't move until the animation's over. But if you use your 1, you can break that animation and instantly start moving again. So I did too early, but you slam. It's right now I'm in my 1, but you slam 1, and then you can slam again or move around. You can break the animation. So having casting speed makes that faster, and it's nice to not be animation locked. So, anyways, with that out of the way, typically you'll hold down your 2 to get the status effect resistance. This means if you get splashed from anything from them shooting at your dog, you at least won't receive the status effects from it. Holding the 1 for parkour velocity is cool, and you don't really need the 2 because we're getting efficiency from other ways, and you just aren't really going to need it because you're not meleeing all that much. It's mainly only for acolytes, or if you get really unlucky with your 2, or maybe your dog is down, things like that. So most of the time you're just going to hold down the 2 and get that resistance buff. I'll simulate these 20 heavy gunners at level 160 and show you guys kind of what happens. So I'm going to just do my standard ability rotation. I'm not going to farm energy out to get all the clones, but I would typically have my 3 active at all times. Obviously BMI 1 and use my roar. Then I look for the person that's highlighted with my energy color, and to them, they die and everything spreads and everybody dies. Now the jackpot that you're kind of playing for, this is a big dopamine thing, is sometimes you'll get really lucky and you will have the person that's marked in your energy color also be marked with the mecha set, and that's the jackpot. You just hit the jackpot, because the energy color highlight obviously means that your 1's on them, so you want to hit them for the damage vulnerability and the range increase. And the mecha set does its own additional spread. So if they have both those marks on them, they just get deleted because it has huge range and it's basically spreading double the statuses because they were mecha marked. So it's pretty funny when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but it's a cool thing to look out for. I don't have energy, but you can just see kind of what the dogs themselves do. If I don't use my 2, don't use Uriel, just use Kubros and Voruna. Anyway, let's get into some actual Steel Path gameplay where this is even better, and I'll also show off the melee slamming aspect. Alright guys, I'm going to my favorite place, which is the Mott Survival in the Void on Steel Path. This is where I like to just show things off, because you get a wide variety of enemies here, and there's, it's not infested, so they're not super easy, they're not super weak to heat or any given thing really. So I'll put down my Zeneric for the energy and the energy over time. I want to get my 3 off here so I can start to get energy. and I use my 1 to just stay alive. Alright. And then I'll use my slams to kill these enemies to get the energy. Get on Zenric again. Now I don't really need to roar, so I'm just looking for an enemy to use my 2 that gets marked. Having a hard time finding them because they're dying from the dog. There we go. Now, yeah, there is some RNG to it, of course, because the status spread does kind of rely on what Voruna is doing, but a lot of it also comes from the dog. And I didn't have roar on there for the beginning, so like roar kind of like averages it out. And yeah, you can see the map just gets nuked. Now, obviously, like I was making jokes about like don't play Uriel and stuff. I do really like Uriel, and obviously you play whatever you want, play like what's gonna make you have fun. But from just a pure like strength standpoint, I just see this character as a better Uriel. You don't need a health increase. I mean, you don't need a heal and like invulnerability when you can just be invisible so they don't attack you, and you're immune to statuses. Your 3 gives you infinite energy, so you have that covered. And your 2 basically does what Uriel's ult does, but with no cooldown. And trust me, the 2 and the dogs, it can kill acolytes by itself. You don't even need to, do like this slamming shenanigans, all that. Like, you don't need to do that. That's just like the cherry on top. But yeah, and Voruna also buffs the slam to make it stronger, so there's that. This character is easily, in my opinion, one of, if not the best in the game. She makes slams even stronger than they already are. She has an insane nuke, and she has infinite energy. And yeah, she has an ability that's pretty bad that you can just get a guaranteed subsume for roar on and have like, the best subsume in the game. That's just Voruna, guys. So I'll kind of let the gameplay speak for itself and just play till the acolyte comes. Maybe you will even get a damage cap scenario. It's it's kind of like RNG to hit the damage cap numbers because it depends on like how the mark, like the Kubra mark, gets placed, because that like multiplies the statuses as well as like the contagious bond. But I have seen it on a like multiple times, and it can happen like multiple times a mission where it'll just spread across like the entire tile, and by like the end of like the enemy spawning in, you'll see like negative 2.14 billion and just ridiculous numbers, and that's all being dealt through status effect damage. So it's doing damage like once a second of damage cap numbers. It's just stupid. And then yeah, you also can get like cold, and then you get really good CC as well. It's just all about the RNG of what statuses you get. And you can see when the mecha set procs, you see my energy jump up to 400. I don't even have flow on. It sometimes seems a little bit worse, like that mecha pulse, because you're so good at killing enemies that oftentimes there aren't a bunch near you to get like the max amount of energy from it, but you'll usually be, above like 300 to 400 energy. So like you're not really going to be running out unless you're like running around doing like, the little trick here to spam heavy melees. You're probably not going to run out of energy. And you can see now I have a lot. You can tell my bar is like huge now. So he has the mag bubble on me. I'm just going to try to find an enemy to use my 1 on. Oh, it's on him. Alright, well, I was going to find an enemy to 1 and then have it spread to him, find an enemy to use my 2 on and then have it spread to him. So I can show you guys like how much damage it does, but my mark was on him, so just slam him. That works. But yeah, like the dogs, I've seen the Predicites like kill the Acolyte in like 4 attacks. Like they'll just claw and like bite him, whatever they do, 4 times, and the dude's dead. You know, even though he obviously has like damage attenuation and he resists status effects, it doesn't matter. He dies very, very fast. You like could just AFK when he spawns in and he'll die. Assuming you're invis, so you don't die, of course. But yeah, I haven't been playing this game like a whole lot lately, just because like I've been playing other games. Like I recently got Baldur's Gate 3, and I've been playing that. That game's a ton of fun. I have I'm in a multiplayer like group, and I'm doing a Stars Druid with a Light Cleric. It just seemed like it would be really fun. That's kind of like my first character in that multiplayer world. But I think for solo, I might try to make like a fighter to be like the melee counterpart, because I'm mostly spells with that build, of course. But yeah, that's the Baldur's Gate. But I got Uriel. I bought him, I'll be honest, because not that the missions were like bad or anything, but I was streaming at the time. You can catch me on there at I'm_wound on Twitch. I'll put it in the chat. Oops, never mind, that's clan chat, I won't. But yeah, you guys probably don't care anyway. But yeah, I was playing on Twitch, so I just figured I would buy Uriel so I could just show it off. But that's kind of what I've been up to. Uriel is good. I don't want to like bash him and be like, yeah, Voruna's just better, but Voruna is just better. He is good though, and he's fun. But yeah, I'll get back to making videos soon, guys. Deadlock is having their update next month, hopefully early next month, and I'm really looking forward to the potential elite characters that might come, because really what's holding me back is I just haven't found a main that I really enjoy. Like, I like Victor, but he's so freaking, what's the word, like polarizing, I guess. Like, he's either really good or really bad in your games. Like, you know, you kind of need to get fed, but yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, and maybe it'll be something new, like Baldur's Gate. I have no idea, guys. Stay tuned. Hit sub if you like this video. All that good stuff, and yeah, peace.